Neil, how are you?
Mr. Kohler, how are you, sir?
Very well. Michael?
Good noon, how are you? You park around back?
No.
Oh, yeah, that's right, you park away, but that's right. I was like, the parking lot's empty, except you. Good evening. Good evening.
I thought I had the wrong night.
We have the wrong night? No, you're here. Very quiet agenda, a lot of things got postponed, so maybe continued over for what you're here for.
We ready?
We are.
Blackstone Street.
Yeah, if you want to come in, we'll go right to it.
Okay.
Won't hold you long. Let me make sure the camera's.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I am well,
Having fun yet?
yes.
Wow. Can we say we don't want it to go through and nobody can object?
This is what I'm doing when I'm not,
Yeah,
since I've been coaching.
yeah. Are you still coaching?
No, no.
Not at all.
First time we've had one members online and in person.
Hi.
First time that's happened, 4 on Zoom and we're here.
All right, we're all set.
Okay, well, welcome to the April 23rd Conservation Commission meeting at Bellingham Municipal Center, in part in person and in part in Zoom. We have a very short agenda since the number of things were continued, but we'll get to that in a moment. I just want to say for the record that we have 3 members on site in the room tonight, myself, Neil Stanley, and Steve, and we're going to be conducting the rest of the meeting with the other members on Zoom, so any votes will be taking place by voice roll call as per open meeting law. We do have a full commission represented either on Zoom or in person, so that's good. And so we'll go right to the first item on the agenda, which is a notice of intent for a continued hearing for ANR number 1 Blackstone Street, map 62, lot 1, which is construction of a single-family home within 100-foot buffer zone to BBW. Louis Petrosi Wall Street Development is the applicant. That hearing has been requested by the applicant today, or yesterday, so very short notice, to be continued.
The
Well,
other night. but
the other
yeah.
day, recently, very recently,
Yeah.
to be continued to the May 14th meeting. For reasons that are known to the applicant.
They didn't have like plans, new
They-
plans
Some
ready.
more information is needed to be gathered for us to be able to move forward with the project review, so that's a reasonable request. We want to make sure we have information to review, no sense in meeting if we don't. So I will entertain a motion to respect the applicant's request and move, continue this meeting to, this hearing, sorry, to the evening of May 14th at 7 PM. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Oh, sorry, you're a little slow, Don. Steve is right on side. You got to.
I
Okay,
know,
so
he beat
first,
me.
a second. That's okay. You'll get your chance, I'm sure. Any other discussion about this? I will just say for the record, because there is somebody in the room that we'd like to.
I just have a question.
Sure.
Who did we were away and somebody came onto our property and flagged it.
We're literally right next.
Yeah, we'll be in a butter. They came onto our property. If our dog was out, they could have gotten bit. They didn't notify us or anything.
Okay, so when you are at the foot of Matty Way, where it turns up and.
We're the last
paperwork
house
goes
on the
there,
left,
You're the last house on the left?
on Blackstone Street.
On Blackstone before that. Okay, so, okay. Yeah, that's something that the applicant, because that does about the house lot number 1, and they should have notified you and or made sure that they have permission to access your property for
Especially when
sure.
we have a dog.
Yeah,
And the dog part is certainly an issue. I will ask our administrator to let the applicant's representatives know via an email, at least that they, number 1, went on your property without permission, as far as we know, and that's not a good thing. And then also, or access the property that they need to get to through your property, whatever way it happened.
And it
But there are
looks
flags
like-
on your property?
it looks like it's full of wetlands.
But they're on your
Yes,
property?
they are on our
Okay.
property, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely something that should have been cleared by you before they did so, so.
What number?
328,
Okay.
so,
Yeah, you just.
all right, so that's what we're concerned with for tonight.
Right, yes, and so this will be continued. The 2 house lots are still under review. There's still some work to be done and so forth. There was a pretty good presence at the last meeting
Yeah.
because of that, but
it's actually more for the road that they're thinking of putting in more than the two
Sure.
houses.
But as we said,
Oh, thanks, Ann.
but as we said during the last meeting, just because you weren't here, that we can't review the road because we don't have anything official to do so yet. At some point in time, we will be probably at the next hearing, maybe even, but at that hearing last time, 2 weeks ago, the road was not being reviewed, only those 2 lots were, because that's all that's before us officially on the plate.
All right,
Planning board is reviewing other things and so forth, so you go to planning board meetings, I think there's one tomorrow. You can hear more about potentially that Blackstone Street paper road and so forth.
all right, thank you so much.
So welcome, thank you very much. All right, so we have motion and with a second, we have no discussion or a little discussion and.
I have a discussion point.
Sure, Ariane, go ahead.
So if the planning board has the other project in front of them, then wouldn't this be project segregation?
The planning board doesn't have it in front of them,
Okay, so yeah,
but it will be coming up. They did complete their application now, but that's a different discussion.
This wouldn't be segmentation, Ariane, because these are these are A and R lots.
But are they gonna be, like, do we know if it's gonna all be a condo, all run by the same association, or an HOA, all subject to the same HOA? Cause then it would be
We-
the same project.
I don't
Thought it
think
was
we're getting
two
that.
single families.
Yes, as far as we know, these are 2 single-family homes.
All they shared with us, we can only operate on the information they provide for us for it. At some point in time, if the applicant's here, you can certainly ask whatever questions you want to as a commission member, but we don't know. So because as Neil and James just both said, this is just 2 single-family homes. We're not considering this part of what they are asking for at this moment with these 2 lots. I'm being very this because potentially at the next meeting, they're going to be opening up a lot more things. It's not yet been officially opened up with the planning board, according to Hannah. It's coming to them now,
I don't
so.
think I don't even think they have an application in yet.
Oh, I thought you said they completed the application.
For us.
Oh, for us, all
For
right. I thought you were saying for planning. 'cause
Yeah,
you were-
the other day, so that's
Okay.
gonna go out for public notice and everything, but.
Okay, so more to come. Watch for notices that we're gonna be getting very shortly about the potentially larger involvement of more land.
Yeah, it should be in the portal.
I know there were some concerns expressed also by a resident in the area about how access was provided up that road, paper road, and perhaps the road was improved / enlarged a little bit in order for getting machines up there to go do some test pits, which were done at the applicant's representative. Well, Mr. Petrosi told us that when we did a sidewalk, that he had done some with permission of the property owner off to the left of the paper road. But how they access this was the point, going through potentially sensitive areas without necessarily getting permission from powers that be that need to be. This was a question that was asked in an email by a resident, so we will have to look into that a little bit too. See,
Is this part of the discussion of lot 1?
because we were out at site 1 and 2 during the site walk, that came up, but it's only no. Okay, so anyway, so we have motion second, all in favor, any other
Oh,
discussion?
I'm sorry. There was something I wanted to
Cameron.
discuss too. The pictures that were in the portal, are those related to 1 or 2? I wanted to fully understand what they were.
I think that was just kind of I should have separated that out as just a generalized complaint as like an enforcement order versus something that was on lot 1 or 2.
Oh, okay. So should we discuss that separately?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's not germane to these 2 particular motions or hearings, that we're.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's no problems, good question.
My
Any
bad.
other questions? Okay, so we're calling for a vote for continuing the A&R lot 1 to the evening of May 14th at 7 PM. I'll do roll call. Steve,
Yes,
Neil,
Yes.
Ariane,
Aye.
Pam,
Aye.
James.
Aye.
Don.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous vote, thank you. All right, so that will be continued to the evening of May 14th at 7 PM or whatever for some time. We'll open the second item on the agenda for tonight, notice of intent continued hearing for A&R lot 2, Blackstone Street, map 62 lot 1. Also construction of a single family home with grading in the 100-foot buffer zone to BBW, Louis Petrosi is the applicant. They have also requested that this particular hearing be continued to the evening of May 14th for the same reason as we just gave for the first one. Any other discussion about this item? Oh, I'm sorry, take a motion first. To continue to the evening of May 14th at 7 PM.
so moved.
Moved.
Don, second, thank you.
Yep.
All right, any other discussion about this? Okay, hearing none, seeing none, all in favor, I last vote. Steve?
Aye.
Neil? Don?
Aye.
James?
Aye.
Ariane?
Aye.
Pam?
Aye.
Mike, aye. All right, so thank you. Okay. Okay, so those things, it takes care of those two, and let's see what happens at the next meeting. We have a continued continued RDA request for the MBTA commuter rail right of way. Which is implementing the renewal of the 5-year vegetative management plan, the MP, along the MBTA commuter rail right of way in Bellingham to eliminate, control, and manage vegetation along the right of way. Anna Rita Pascal is the Director of Environmental Appeals Commuter Road Services, and Matt Donovan is the representative. And Matt has requested, Hannah, that we continue for
The June 11th.
to the June 11th meeting, as we have still not heard back from the input that were requested from the DEP, and we're continuing to pursue that, and they're taking some time to get back to us, so there's not a huge rush, but they know we're working on it, and they seem amenable to continuing it, so I will honor the applicant's request and accept a motion for discussion point, if there is any discussion, to continue this hearing for the MBTA commuter rail right away to the evening of June 11th.
So moved.
Ariane, thank you. Steve, second, thank you. Any other discussion about this? Any questions, comments? See what they come up for info. Who is working on that with commission? Who we have?
Ariane and Pamela were
Yeah,
looking
right,
at the
yeah.
map,
Whoa,
but
whoa,
didn't really
whoa,
have any
Pam.
extra.
What's that?
Pam's working on it.
Oh.
Maybe
But
I mean, I was, but I'm a little stacked, so.
okay, well, there's not a huge rush anyway, so if you feel you want to jump back into it, Ariane, that's fine. If not, Pam, if you need any suggestions, support, help, whatever, feel free to reach out to us, or, whatever. See what they get back to us with from DP. I guess is the plan, and they're gonna get back directly to Pam or through you, Hannah?
DEP?
I would not, yeah, we were looking for some feedback, weren't we, from the DEP?
Right,
about-
I've just been calling them to see if they have any updated guidance, and we just haven't.
Heard anything. Otherwise, just looking at plans and deciding how much we want to try to get them to restrict the vegetation control if we do. Okay,
Yeah, I had looked at that and then sent some comments to Hannah, which I think you forwarded along to Matt. Hannah?
Yes, yep.
okay.
Okay.
All right, good. Well, some progress, we'll see. All right, any other discussion? Hearing on, except vote, roll call, Ariane,
Aye.
Pam,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
James,
Aye.
Steve, Neil, Mike, aye. Okay, unanimous vote. So on June 11th for continuation. Last item on the official hearings is a continued hearing for notice of intent for 123 Mendon Street commercial redevelopment within the riverfront and 100-foot buffer zone to BBW. DNC Pavone Enterprises, I rent them as the applicant, and Bill Halsing Land Planning is the representative. They have also requested continuation to May 14th. I think it's planning board related? Planning board related issues. We have walked the site, we have reviewed the site. I think on the Concom side, we're in pretty good shape, but we'll wait obviously and see and honor that request. So we want to be same plan of record and all that. So I will accept the motion to continue this hearing to the evening of May 14th.
So moved.
Well, that was a tie. I couldn't even tell. All right, let's say Ariane first, Pam second. Thank you. Any other discussion about this?
When will this end?
And they're working with planning board. Apparently,
I mean, come on.
I don't know what the issue is with planning board, but apparently
There's
is.
been some, yeah, just issues with the peer review back and forth, so.
The engineering peer review.
We
Yeah.
keep scheduling this thing and they keep,
Yeah, I mean, we've done our part, I think, on this as much as we can, and we'd be ready to issue whatever order of conditions. Yeah, I guess we'd be in order of conditions, but not for why, but they'd probably be pretty, from what I remember and saw. Maybe go out and walk the site again, it's gonna be so long. Anyway, okay, so we have a motion, and it seems to be a relatively short time, well, not a meeting. Down the road, I will take a vote. James.
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
Ariane,
Aye.
Pam,
Aye.
Neil,
No,
Steve,
All right.
Mike, aye. So 6-1. All right, thank you. And now we are on to other business, which I'll let Sam take the lead on since I didn't even see the pictures of the farm. Black Barn. Let's start.
Yeah, I didn't upload those until today. That was.
That's okay. I went into Boston for the first time in a month, so I went to my office, so I was out all day pretty much on commission. So, all right, so why don't you just bring us up to speed with the DPW wants to do for hazardous tree removal?
Yeah, so we actually have a representative online if he is available.
Mr. Jessup or TC Joyce.
PC Joyce. Let's see if I can ask him to unmute.
What's the first?
Hey, Hannah, how are you?
Good. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hey,
I'm
now
right
we
down
can
the
see it.
street,
Great.
so if I get any mixed up, I can shoot down there. I'm right on Depot Street. I just got back.
Okay.
We had a water thing going on, so I'm just right down
Ah.
the street. If my computer messes up, I can shoot down there real quick.
So what are we looking at for a tree in the right of way?
So the trees are so where our well tanks are, our wet wells, right where the road that comes in, they're probably 50, 60 foot trees, which they're dead. And they have a telephone pole line going all the way down. So when I went out there to observe these trees and stuff, previous tree warden Mike Burr showed me about them. I was like, oh yeah, these got to get taken down. I called Hannah just to, it's on conservation land kind of, so I wanted to make sure we had permission to cut them down, and then here we are today. I'm just asking permission just to cut there. I think there's 6 trees or 5 trees, and there's a half a tree that's already been tipped. I don't know if lightning happened, but it's already dead. So I was wondering if I have permission to come in, kind of cut them down and leave them there. Yeah, thank you, Hannah, appreciate it. So see that limb there is dead coming up. Now that comes up
Sure.
over, and on the left side is where the telephone lines come in, the telephone pole lines.
Gotcha.
Want them to, what I'm saying, hit it or something. Or if somebody's ever walking down there, if God forbid a windstorm comes, I wouldn't want to see anything happen.
So that's coming in off of Cross going down Black Mark towards the wells?
Yes, sir. Yep,
First
yep.
tanks? Okay, gotcha. I've only been down that road once a long time ago. Okay. And all those trees in the same area?
Yeah, they're all in line. They're probably maybe 30, 40 feet away. There's a second tree that's probably, I think, Hannah, correct me if I'm wrong, 30 feet away, I think. Maybe 40 feet away from them. And then they just go and they vary. Some are right in kind of line with that, but then like the bigger trees jump down to probably about maybe, I want to say maybe 10 feet off the road. That one, there's like, want to see how it comes up. It's all dead. There's the wires there. So if it falls down to the left, we're going to have some issues.
And it looks like it's leaning that way. They look like
Yeah.
they're leaning. Yeah.
Yeah, if they were leaning the other way, I wouldn't be too concerned because it would fall, into the wetlands and we wouldn't
Right.
worry about it. Unfortunately, they're leaning towards the wires, which
Gotcha.
kind of got me a little, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh wow, if there was a storm or something, and since
Yeah.
the weather we've been having, trees been going down left and right.
Yeah.
And this is the last group of them.
So we're looking at 5 or 6, you think, with that broken one?
Yeah, I'm sorry, this is for my notes here. I think it was like 5 and a half one, the half one there. But I gotta get in touch with the Verizon or the electric company because they have one of those guide wires tied in to one of the trees that's been already broken off. So I was wondering if I can have permission just to kind of, because it has a point sticking out of it, and I just don't want it to
Yeah.
fall on the roadway, or if somebody's walking by or somebody's vehicle, if one of our guys are driving down there, a tree comes down on it.
So the guide wire is coming from one of the poles across the street into one of the dead trees that's broken off?
Yes, sir. Yep.
How high up is it? So you don't have to worry about, usually they don't go across the road with the guide wire, it just stays in the same side tanker, doesn't it?
Yeah, this one's going across the road. It's probably about maybe 13 feet in the air. The guide wire, it's coming down.
Huh.
I don't know if we have a picture of that. If we
There is, Hannah, there's
Is
a
it?
picture
Okay.
here.
Of which one?
The
Sorry.
guide wire going across.
There's
the
number
road.
5.
Number 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good eye, Steve.
Yeah, was it that one?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
there
that
we
one.
go.
Yep, there it is. So yeah, so
Okay.
that's what,
Oh,
probably
that's
about 12 feet.
strange.
Yeah, but see how it's broken off and it's leaning towards
Yeah.
the phone pole? I gotta call the company but I want to make sure I'm doing the right chain of command first before I even go out there. And if they can tie on to one behind them or away from our trees if they come down. I mean, these trees are like 40, 50, even some of them 60 feet tall. And
Sure.
it's crash those lines out.
Yeah, okay. I'll leave you to communicate with them.
Anna, can you go to
directly.
the next picture as well? Is that a similar thing, or is that a branch?
I think that's just a branch right here.
Yeah, that's a branch. And now that tree there, behind that one, there's a huge split where the trees come together, like they come kind of up. There's a huge
Yeah.
split on the back side of that tree.
In the fork, there's a split in the tree. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
If it's unstable, we certainly understand the need to preserve the property and for the lines and safety on the road to do. Your plan was to do what? Drop the trees there, not stump or grind, obviously leave some sort of stump elevation, a couple feet or whatever, and then just leave them laying horizontally, I mean, parallel to the road, or drop them
I was
back
gonna-
into the wetlands, or remove
Yeah,
them?
whatever you guys like. I mean, I could have them hauled out if you want, or I can have them laid down. So I got to estimate a tree company come in with a crane and they can lay it down gently so it doesn't disturb anything going around. I'm just not going to have them cut it and drop it. I'm going to have them cut it, lay it down. If you want the trees removed, if we get grant permission to get them removed, I'll remove them. I have no issues with that. Or if you want to leave them there, we can cut them. We can leave like a 4-foot stump if you like as well. For the animals, I no issues there. It's just I'm just worried about them coming down on
Right,
electric lines.
I guess then. Remove or just laying them? I don't know what to the right of those trees, is it fairly dry? Is it a boggy area? I mean, I don't want is there a stream running through there? I wouldn't want to clog up a viable stream, for example, by laying a tree away from the road down gently and having all the branches and everything else being right across prior to that moment, viable water resource flow area. I just can't tell from the pictures
Yeah.
what's there to the side. Do you guys have any idea?
I think I should just get them out of there.
As I recall, it's pretty dry.
Yeah, at this moment, of course, that's.
Yeah.
It's definitely
Yeah, but
wetland right to the edge, but it's not like flooded.
And there's no stream.
I think
Yeah,
there's a lot of habitat value, so.
Yeah, I think our
Yeah.
preference would be, unless anybody online on the commission, speak up, James or Don or Mariana or Pam.
This becomes a fuel source.
That this is potential fire hazard with that many dead trees piled up in a relatively close area. There's not a lot of wildlife habitat value for these bigger trees. They're gonna take a long time to break down. Big piles of branches and so forth aren't necessarily good habitat. And frankly, just the ability to remove them now while we have equipment there in a way that's quick and relatively easy, I think is a good advantage. So disposing everything but the last 3 or 4 feet of stump, which would remain intact in the ground along with all the roots, I think would be a reasonable approach. What does the commission member think?
What
I
about the
agree with that.
salamanders?
Whoa, one time you, Pam, go ahead, say it again.
Oh, I was just saying I agree with that. I like the idea of leaving the stumps if they have to come down.
Yeah, definitely want to leave the stump, so we would do that and we wouldn't grind or remove them, but there's no need for that. Good soil retention, erosion control. Ariana or Don or
I was
James?
saying, what about the salamanders? That'd be a perfect house for them.
Which tree would you like us to save for them? We'll put that one aside. Put your name on it.
The shortest one.
The shortest one, yeah, the stump one.
How about yeah, exactly.
It's got the guy wire on it.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to leave that one down on the ground as a token habitat, I have no problem with that. That's an easy lay down once they get the cable extracted and figure out what they want to do with that.
Yep.
But for the bulk of the trees, I think those massive trees, they're gonna take a long time to deteriorate, even if they're dead and they're pine, they get all that sap and stuff on them. Are they all pine?
Yeah. Yep.
I thought one of them was completely dead, might have been a hardwood, but I couldn't tell. Okay. Other comments?
They should be removed in a way that doesn't damage any of the other trees.
Right. So the equipment you got coming in there would take, you think?
We want to give those other trees a chance to.
Yeah. So I
Survival.
thought I brought the tree company out there just to get a heads up of, before, get a quote and stuff before they do anything and how the right and safe way would do it. They told me they're bringing a crane, and what they do is they come up there, and if it's close to another tree, they're going to have climbers, which they'll climb the tree, which I don't know how they're gonna do that if they're dead, but they have their own way and never question them.
Yeah.
What they'll do is they'll cut it in sections nicely coming down and get it away from the trees that are alive. I says, oh, okay, that's perfect. As long as you don't damage the other trees or any branches.
Well,
Totally
knowing
cool.
that they'd be asked to remove this, both the trunks and the large branches, everything, but this is little tiny branches, if they fall off or get cut off. Is this close to a road is probably a revelation for them, because they usually probably have to haul the stuff out. And here
Yeah.
they can have the train literally right on the road and the truck right next to it, and lay them right down onto the other truck and say trim it up. I think that's about as easy as you can make it for them.
Yeah.
As long as they don't damage the trees that are there, as Neil said. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments from the commission? Observations, things you'd like to see put into place? I don't think we need any erosion control or anything in this particular case. So, okay. If there's no other questions, I think we're giving you a thumbs up, but we don't need to do a formal vote, I don't think, because you're not bringing us a formal hearing motion. You're just informational, and we've made our comments, I think, that you take into account. And when do you want to do this? Pretty quick?
Yeah, I mean, sooner the better. I got a quote. I just can call tomorrow, the Malik Tree Company, and see if they can come in and give me a date. Hopefully sometime next week if permission is granted. Hopefully I can do it next week. Sooner the better for me with my guys, because we do use that road constantly, going in and out of there to check the wells.
All right, well, that sounds like a good idea. Go for it. Well, deep. You plumbed the depths of that joke. Okay, so moving right along, I think you've got our thumbs up, guys. Jesse, and thanks for joining in on that. You guys have anything else that they need to be on for?
I got one
Okay.
thing. I put it in the chat, Mike.
Oh,
It's
sorry,
not on
I
the
couldn't-
agenda. I just saw it on my way home this afternoon. So on Taunton Street, in the Weathersfield area, I guess a few weeks back, DPW had a fire hydrant go and they had to replace it on Taunton Street. So that hydrant has been replaced. There's like a cutout in the Beaver Brook it's Beaver Brook, I think, is like 15 feet away from that. And I don't know if it was the pressure of the hydrant going, but it kind of carved a section of that wetland and upland area just off the street going right towards the stream. So now that the kind of emergency side of things is done, I think DPW should just go fix that. I've meant to take a picture of it. I forgot, so I can go do that if it's still light out by the time we get off tonight or tomorrow, and send it to you, Hannah. It should be a minor fix. I just noticed it today.
But as you're familiar with the area we're talking about, guys?
Yes, am I unmuted still? Yeah. Yeah, so I think it was last Monday or 2 Mondays ago. Unfortunately, it was a drunk driver coming around that bend, Taunton Street, and smashed the hydrant. Unfortunately, it was an older hydrant, which it doesn't have a breakaway flange. We couldn't get it shut off, and unfortunately, in that road, the gate boxes that we used to shut down the water, they were clogged with just rock, sand, grit, everything. And I think they got called at 1 o'clock in the morning or something. So the guys were out all night with this water was just, I know exactly what you're talking about. I think we went by there the other day and paved it. We're not done yet. And unfortunately, DPW world and water is crazy. We got hit with another water break today. We're removing a hydrant at this, the middle school, also the old high school. So we are going to get over there and clean that up. It's just unfortunately, vacations, people calling in sick and stuff. We don't have the manpower right now, but I'm aware of that. I'm the infrastructure supervisor as well here. So we're gonna get on that, but I know exactly what you're talking about. But
Great.
we'll address that as soon as possible.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you need anyone out there while you're doing it, I'm literally a 4-minute walk, so I can
Oh, awesome.
meet your guys out there if they need anything.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, what's your name
Yep.
again?
James,
James, Tommy. Thank you. I
James.
appreciate you. Thank you.
you got it, Tommy. Yep.
Do we need any stabilization out there in the meantime, James?
It looks like it's been ripped up as much as it can be. The area that was carved, it looked like it was high pressure, so I'm assuming it's from when it burst. Everything else is vegetated around it. So, I mean, if we can get them out there by the end of the week, I don't think there'd be an issue. They just gotta rake it back out so it's not carved out, and then probably throw some outer riparian mix, like a wetland seed mix or something in there. It'd be
We're
pretty
gonna get a little
quick.
rain
Just
this
didn't want to
weekend,
lose
too.
sight of it.
Yeah, we're gonna
Is
get
it
some rain
possible-
later this weekend, so.
Is it
Friday,
possible to
Saturday,
meet you out there tomorrow? Give me a time. I'll meet you out there tomorrow and just so you can point me in like the right direction. Say, hey, can you do this right here? So when I get my guys, I'll try to get it done Friday. I can have them do it Friday. And at least, you and I coordinate, yep, do this and it'll be up to par 100% for you guys.
Yeah, Hannah, if you want to meet us, I don't know if you're in town tomorrow, but I'm working from home tomorrow, so I can walk down there whenever.
Yeah, just let me a time and I'll be more than happy to meet you. I appreciate it.
you're staring up in space, did you?
Oh,
want to-
I wasn't sure if that, cause I have a meeting for some rail trail stuff in Franklin, so I'll be there from 10 to 1 or 12:30, and before that, I have a site meeting with the Bellingham Bible Baptist
right.
Church for that, and we're checking in on that stuff too, so
So maybe if
if it's
all.
in the
yeah.
afternoon, I would be able to meet you out there, but
Well, you
Okay.
guys can reach out to Hannah and email, text or whatever, and if it works for her to be there, fine. If not, James and you and Tommy could do it, that's fine. I think if we can do something before the weekend, if we're gonna get an inch or half an inch or 3/4 of an inch of rain and comes down hard. No sense in having it get worse if we can stabilize it even temporarily with a little bit of effort between now and then.
Yeah.
And then do the
I mean, if
finished job when you guys have the staffing and stuff.
if the commission's fine with me meeting, Tommy, I can meet at like 9 o'clock tomorrow morning if you want to
That's
just
fine.
get it out of the way.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
fine.
awesome. That
Works
works
for
for me.
me.
Okay,
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
Yep.
Thanks, James.
yeah,
Yep.
thanks, thank you.
Thank you, James.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah,
You got
thanks,
it. Thanks,
guys.
Tommy.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So-
Thank you.
before we move on, I
Yeah.
think we have the representative from
Monique?
Bench, the MBTA commuter rail right away, so
Oh.
I'm not sure, I think there was some
M.
miscommunication.
Donovan. Is that you? Is that Mike or what's your?
Me, and
first
I
name?
know
Matt?
this was
Matt.
continued, but I got
Oh,
out
yeah.
of my meeting here in North Andover pretty quickly,
Okay.
so I figured I would offer myself up if there's a discussion to be had, even if there's no, I know there probably won't be a determination tonight, but
Right,
you-
so we
I'm
did,
open to answer any questions you may have.
yeah, at this point in time, since we have already closed that hearing and moved on to continue it to June 11th as was requested. Hannah said she, you guys had requested that. We can't well, don't really have a need to reopen it, but I will just tell you that we didn't have anything discussed because we haven't gotten any new information from DEP, any recommendations for or advice for this kind of management plan thing. We're going to continue to pursue that. Hannah is chasing them as much as you can chase the DEP to get them to respond if we can between now and then. And Pamela, one of our representatives on the Concom, is been looking at the plan somewhat. And if she has questions, she knows, reach out via Hannah to you. I think she might have forwarded you some information. She said when we had this hearing open a little while ago. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've submitted
Okay.
a new revised set since our last meeting.
Right, and I think Pam had some observations or comments which you may be seeing if you haven't seen them already, so look for that to happen, but otherwise, we hadn't had any discussion or really, you didn't miss anything, and basically is what it came down to when we had this open a little while ago during the meeting. But I appreciate your being able to come out of your meeting and jump right into another one, being willing to jump into another one.
Yeah, no problem.
any-
Yeah, if there's nothing to discuss, that's fine for me.
Yep, we're good, I think. Thank you very much, though. Appreciate it, man.
Yep.
Have a good night.
You too.
All right, yeah, so Jesse and Tommy, thank you very much. I appreciate your participation as well for DPW. We have 12 Monique. I think they're gonna be,
I didn't get anything back from them, so
Okay.
I'm assuming he's still stuck in Boston and won't
okay,
be
we
able
have
to
the
make it.
notice of violation that we were gonna discuss, and we asked the person involved to come in if they could, but apparently they're stuck in.
But if you guys, I did let him know that because he communicated that to me, I said I could also meet him out on site and we could kind of, have a discussion about the violation too, like with me being there and kind of pointing out where the wetlands are and everything. And he thought that would be a good idea. So if there was any comments you had just initially looking at it that you'd like me to, bring his way when I talk to him out on site, especially since I know the next meeting we have a lot going on,
Right, it
so.
seems to be quite a number of items between storm shed, large shed, chicken coop and all that, yeah, so there seems to be quite a bit of either unknowing or whatever, systematic, or not systematic, incremental violations that are happening with this year and that there and so forth, and certainly cleaning up stuff that's been dumped back into the resource areas. Going to be very important, as well as
Have you
obviously.
been out there yet?
Yeah,
Here's
so
some
I
pictures
actually,
for
there's some, I sent out the violation notice a while ago, and then he responded to that, and that had some like aerial photos and stuff, and I've also been out there. There was a neighbor that was questioning, like, he wanted to put in a swing set, and he was wondering like why he couldn't put the swing set in if other people could be building stuff, so it was like kind of a confusion point there. So that's, you know.
And when you're out there looking at that, you're next door to this property, and you're able
Yeah.
to take pictures that you put.
Yeah, you can't tell somebody they can't do that, and the other guy, yeah.
Right.
Everybody, but you can do something, yeah, no, that doesn't go as well. Okay, so I think that's a reasonable response. If the commission has any other comments I'd like to make to the administrator about her potential visit with the property owner at 12 Monique before she goes out, either now or between now and then, you think of something that you'd like to have, oh, don't forget to check this, or what about that? Something
Yeah,
you've seen in the portal or photos.
I had a couple like staff recommendations
Yep,
just in
I
my
saw those.
little comment letter, so that was just my thoughts, and that's what I would go into that meeting with, so if you had any.
Those were a good start,
Okay.
and obviously things are gonna come out, they're gonna say something, you're gonna respond and so forth,
Right.
so. Hopefully all in a positive manner, and then we're gonna have to see about how they would potentially be willing to deal with it. What your recommendation should be, whether an enforcement order is needed, or after the fact kind of thing is always never as good as before the fact, as we all know, but what do we need to do, what's reasonable to do, and what will move things forward in a positive way to not have this linger. I think that's good, all right.
I thought it was kind of
Anna,
wild how
is-
that shed was just like put on top of gravel, and the gravel was just like squarely around the foundation.
Wild in what way? You mean just because it was like up right on the edge of the hill there and staying?
He like made a hill.
Yeah, they kind of made it a little gravel in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they think that looks good?
It's too close to the resource area for one thing, I think, probably, but what? Good isn't a term I would use for that particular setup in that location, I don't think. I mean, I have gravel under my shed that's in a flat area in my yard, and it's good for drainage and ventilation underneath the shed. It's a brand new shed, but it's on a hill graded like this, right next to wetlands area. That's a bit different story, or grading hill.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Hannah.
that gravel will eventually wash out or.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Hannah, I saw in the staff recommendations, should the chicken coop be removed or be allowed to be applied for? Where is the chicken coop? Where does that sit in the?
Yeah, so the chicken coop is like right to the south, it's that small, like, I think it's the white top.
Is it
Let
within
me
the
check
25?
on the, let me get up
Is
the
that-
violation notice, but if you look in the near map photos that I
This is-
attached to the notice of violation, it's that like
Oh.
white
Yeah, it's
little
in the 25.
top area that's right next to the enlarged shed, so it's just south of it.
So that's well within the 25 foot, correct?
Or
do you think it's 25 to 50?
I think it's probably within the 25. It was replacing the existing the shed structure was replacing the existing shed that I guess fell, but it's been enlarged and the chicken coop looks new, and especially with having animals that close to a wetland.
Yeah,
It
that
looks
would be
like
my
kind of a
concern.
spare zone.
Yeah, I think that's also being voiced here, Pam, just in case Gary Neal, Eber's talking about that right now. A little bit, from the fact that if anything's within the 25 that's been added, knowingly or unknowingly, that's probably something the commission wants to consider. I thought,
Yeah.
whether it was in your notes, Hannah, or whether I just thought about this. Something about they had received permission for the new shed from the building department because there was something attached either in the documents or. My point is, the building department approves of things and never thinks to ask us, so.
They are supposed, it's in their protocol. They are
Right, so
supposed to run every.
This was not
permit
long
by
ago,
hand.
this was recently, like in the last couple of years, so my question would be to Tim potentially. I assume he would be the first person we would go to within house here and say, what are your people doing before they give people permits for sheds and stuff like that, or any structures outdoors? They should be looking at, and if they're not sure about wetlands, call us, I mean, that's what
No,
we're there for.
no. Even if they're supposed to run everything by. Okay.
So sure or not, you're saying.
Sure or not.
Yeah.
Just, And we can verify very quickly, no, you're within, you're 1,000 feet away from ambulance, go for it, you know, whatever, we're not jurisdictional, whatever, but in this case, they obviously didn't do that, and because we would have called on it, and especially in the last couple of years, it wouldn't, it's not like it has happened 50 years ago, probably. The permit for the shed, so we need to,
But regardless if they get a building permit for it, that's not our problem.
right, well, if
It
you.
complicates things, but it's not our problem.
Well, no, my point is, I want to see the building department, since they're already doing things like issuing permits, and that's what people think about. I need a building permit, they don't think I need a Concom permit. If the building department is helping us and themselves in the long run by helping, say, put on the brakes for a second. Did you go to Concom? No, okay, you gotta go do that. Then it becomes in our purview, we can see it, but because we don't know who's bought sheds all over town. And the building department certainly doesn't give you a list every week of all the new construction they're potentially approving, right? And all the permits they've approved. I have no idea how many they approve in a week, but anyway, anybody on the commission have any other thoughts about that idea with the building department being asked to be more. Doing more what they should be doing, which is notifying us every time they're gonna be approving permits, so we can make sure that we're not in potential violation before they get the permit out.
No, they should be doing that to begin with.
Yeah.
That's common in every other municipality, so. I'd-
It used to
I'd
be, it used to
wondering-
be protocol here.
Yeah,
Somebody got
and
out of the
it
habit
should,
of doing
it
it, or
should
the
still
re-
be.
Yeah, right, so I think we need to bring this up and reinforce this with them and. I think I'll talk to our resource at the planning board first, Mr. Rob, and get his input on town in interpersonal communication so that I don't. If I get to step on toes, I'm happy to do it. I have no problem with that. I got big shoes and happy to stomp on a few toes a little bit, but in some way diplomatically, at least start off with, hey, building department. What's going on? And we need this is not happening the way it should be. What's going on? And have them issue some sort of response, not just like, oh, okay, we'll shape up. Because this is not good. This is not the first time this kind of thing has happened. We've seen it happen with old projects as well as newer ones now.
I think you should go in and stomp, Chairman.
I will be willing to put my foot down where so to speak. Let's
I
put
mean,
it
there
on.
should be like an SOP of some sort, but who's responsible for writing that? You know?
Right. Whether there's something
Or does
already,
it already exist?
yeah, and that's it. I don't even know where to look in the town
I've definitely seen some from other towns. too,
protocol.
Go
This,
through resources,
you know,
so I can definitely
yeah.
bring that up and.
what kind of resource exists in town in Bellingham between departments, how they're supposed to communicate, and who's supposed to respond to who, as part of the permitting process, probably in building department's permit process, there's probably something which says, contact Concom about every project, and it's just being ignored. If there isn't, then maybe that's where it should in the building permit process say it's something like that, and then as much detail as they need.
Like, they've got to go to the town clerk or the assessors department before they get a permit to make sure they don't owe any tax.
Right, exactly.
I mean,
Same,
you know, there's,
same kind of approach.
there's a list of things they have to do before they're issued a permit, and that should be one of them.
And if somebody's not doing that and making sure that
Shame
the
on them.
applicants are not checking that stuff and they're just sliding and it's in writing and there's just nobody's checking it, that's bad on us.
Shame.
Down, and if it's not in writing and it's not in place and the applicants don't know, the property owner just doesn't know, because they never told to, then that's not on the applicant, or it's on the town as well, but we can get that done, we can get that corrected. And then they gotta enforce it, or follow it. Okay, we'll follow up on that. All right, 175 North Street.
That was just in case you wanted to share.
Oh,
anything
yeah.
Else about your.
Was that 175? I thought it was 157. Okay, yeah, so those pictures I sent you guys in the week transfer, the last meeting, I forgot to mention it during the meeting. Those were just from a site walk that we took. Let's see, who was on there? Steve James, James, were you there? Yeah, Steve, James, Don and I think went out and we met with John, James, start the names, start with the J. Anyway, the property owner.
It's another James.
Another James. He had permission from us to put in a driveway and to expand, to create a house lot in the back. He had done that, he cleared that. Apparently while he was out there doing that, he also chose to have the tree guy cut well beyond the driveway limits. And in fact, the driveway is paced off by Steve was, instead of 20 some odd feet or 25 feet, or whatever was approved by us, was more like 35 feet wide. There was some erosion control on one side.
Measured, I think, 46 or 7, it was nearly twice.
And a nice try, okay. So he went much farther beyond his point. When we talked to him at first, he was fairly defensive. What do you mean? What's going on? Anyway, I had to do this. There were some trees that were in danger of falling. I got them over here. You can't do that. You have to come back to us. It's in the order of conditions, which he didn't seem to remember that he had gotten a copy of, which I pointed out to him. It was in the order of conditions, a standard thing. If you want to do something beyond the scope of the work that you were approved for, come back to us. He pointed out, for example, probably a 100-foot pine tree that would not yet cut down, it was outside of the scope of work by at least 25 feet or 20 feet. But if that tree fell in the right direction, it probably would land eventually on his house lot or potentially his house, and he asked about this. If you want to have permission to cut that down, you have to come back to us. He's a
Mr.
busy
Chair,
guy.
I would argue that if the driveway was actually the width it was approved, the reach to get to those trees would be 10 to 15 feet further.
Oh, yeah, it's even further, yeah. Yeah, it's well outside,
So the driveway, did the driveway go outside the limit of work?
Yes.
we believe so. I'd have to
I
look
have
and
to
see what
take
was.
some more measurements. I haven't gotten the chance to get out.
Because it's
there
all
to
mulch right
measure
now,
it,
he's not
so.
paved or anything, right? It's not a clearly defined driveway, it's just a.
I
Most
paced
of
up
the road.
17 paces. It was supposed to be 20 feet.
So the way it was left with him at this point in time was A, do not do any more cutting. And B, if you want to do any more cutting anytime, because you got a 3-year permit on this project, you need, and he's not in a hurry to put the house up, he made that clear. You need to come back to us and you need to. That says be very specific, which trees you want to take down, why they want me to take it down, if they're dead or risk, that's one thing we may consider. If they're healthy and not near, we may consider not improving that, but you have to come back to us. He seemed clear on that. I asked if he was gonna be doing that anytime soon. He said, no, he's really busy. He does asphalt grinding during the season, so he's in the busy season, so he's not looking to do anything more than what he has done now at this point in time. So I don't think any more damage is likely to be done, but we need to decide if we want to do something, what the commission wants to do, other than telling him to stop and do not anymore, do more cutting. We didn't say anything else to him about.
We did not, we discussed the trees beyond what we thought were the limits of work. It was only later, after we left, that it became clear that the limits of work are past the limits of work.
Right.
So
So there are no stakes?
There was only on the lower downhill side.
That's probably part of the
pictures
problem is that he didn't have,
Was the.
didn't he have it
erosion
staked out
control.
erosion control?
He only had road control on the low side. The high side, I asked about that. I said, you don't have road control on the high side. He said, well, I didn't think I needed it because it's the uphill
Wasn't it
side.
part of the plan?
I didn't have any plans in front of me. We were just walking.
Oh, well, we're going out there,
By
we're going out there half cocked then. so,
Yeah.
Okay.
well, before we can make a firm stand, we need, the assumption needs to be confirmed.
Yeah, oh yeah, we need to pull out the permit and see what exactly was approved. Go out, very specifically, as Hannah said, measure it, see what was approved and then see how much
Was,
beyond that.
was it supposed to be staked out? Was there supposed to be erosion control at the limit of work? What was supposed to have been done, and then we can determine what was done, and then we can determine any corrective action that may be necessary.
Right.
But without any of those things,
It was only because we were down the road a few feet. that
and
we
maybe,
got there.
I mean, he should have had a pre-construction inspection of the erosion controls.
Yeah. how-
It
That's
kind
what-
of sounds
There
like
was
something.
Beg pardon?
Sorry. It kind of
Go
sounds
ahead.
like something that maybe we should go re-inspect before he's done again, just to see if anything else changed.
Agreed.
Yeah, we can certainly schedule
So
something.
before anybody starts a project like that, you should be out inspecting the erosion controls
Yeah,
before they start.
I'm not sure if that was in the order of conditions.
That should be in
if it
every
was-
order. That's boilerplate.
Yeah, I kind of thought that there's an expectation that they would do that, whether they notify you that they're going to do that, or he just coming out and cut it. It made it sound very clear that, well, the guy was out here anyway, I think he even said.
And
I
that's
just have to cut a
potentially,
couple more
but that's
trees.
potentially part of the
Right.
problem is if it wasn't properly staked and wasn't properly hay baled and inspected. Then when his tree clearing guys went out there, they just went wild because there were no constraints on what
Yeah.
they did.
I don't remember, James or Don, do you remember the way the property owner was talking, whether you think that he said to the tree guy that was there, just cut a bunch of these other ones down because I'm concerned about them, or whether the tree guy?
He did say that.
Yeah,
He said, if you think they're unsafe, take them.
right, so he
Yeah,
left
he-
it up to the tree guy.
He gave
kinda
he
thought he
gave
was
his
like-
he gave his tree contractor a golden ticket and said if there's something you think should come down, take it down. No questions
Right.
asked.
Correct.
Which might mean we require them to do some planting, which is kind of crazy because there's wood all around, but
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
this is more of a question. So we went there that day with a specific purpose of looking at trees cut beyond the limits of work. We didn't go with conditions in hand or pre-inspection to
No.
check any of this other stuff. Should we take Ariane's suggestion and do that?
I think that's a reasonable request. We certainly can let the applicant know, or the property owner know that there's going to get the permission to go on the property, obviously.
No, we don't.
Well,
No, we don't.
we're
No, we don't.
supposed, we're
No, we
supposed,
don't.
we're supposed to ask.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
No, it's a courtesy.
Well, that's what I mean, it's a courtesy.
If you don't
Right.
like getting shot, it's good to ask.
Yeah, if you're shocked, excuse me, don't say that. Anyway, so yes, I think we need to have the information in hand with the application in hand, know exactly what the limits were supposed to be. If it was spelled out erosion control on both sides, for example, then they didn't do it because it was only on one side that we could see. For example, there's a violation right there of the conditions. Do we know when he actually did the tree cutting? Because you were the one that told us that it had happened, and that's why we popped over there because we were in the neighborhood with the low sidewalk.
Yeah, I mean, I can look through my emails to see when it happened. And I am looking at the order of conditions now, and it was in there that it was supposed to have a site inspection before.
He didn't seem clear on what an order of conditions was, and I said, that's what you got after the hearing, you got approval. It says right in the order of conditions, if you want to change, so I was focused on if you wanted to do something more to the scope, you needed to come back to us and maybe not letting him off hook of that. And then he backed off because he realized he had been given something. He probably never read it.
So maybe
Yeah, I
Hannah,
don't- I
that's
suspect
an
he never read it.
expectation when you give them to people, especially not professionals, that you hammer into them and make it very clear that this is exactly what they're allowed to do. And
And you're-
anything else, they need to call you.
That was something that Mike had mentioned, is to
Yeah.
put like a cover letter on there for
Yeah.
some of these, so.
Yeah,
Sort of
'cause-
like, I think of it as kind of, and I don't know if there's a legal term for this, maybe you guys out there online have seen this. Sort of an acknowledgement of receipt letter. It says, basically, I've received this document, I have reviewed this document, I understand this document. Signed, so-and-so, dated, so-and-so. Whether they actually read it or they're just signing it and dating it, doesn't matter. That covers us legally, that we can then turn to them and say, in this order of conditions, which you said you read and signed, it's saying that you had read and understood it.
I mean, isn't that when they record it?
Yeah, that comes from the
Recording doesn't
recording
mean that they
process,
said that
Mike.
they've done it, it just means the document's been recorded. What I'm looking for is something that where Hannah's handing to the
Yeah, it's an
applicant.
acknowledgement. You're looking for
Right.
an acknowledgement form. Yeah.
It's
that's
only
become
a
sort
piece of
standard.
paper. Bottom line is not gonna stop the person who's gonna, like this guy, apparently not read whatever was provided to him. He may not read even if he signed something like that, but I think since we don't have anything which does that, it's like one more step to really hammer, as Neil just said, hammer it into the person. You're the property owner. Ultimately, you are going to be responsible for this order of conditions because it's issued to you, or if it's a wetland scientist, they know better and they should definitely know.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, like WS Development, the professionals, they know to do these things. They know what's what, but you get, they'll push it, but the random homeowner or.
I'm sure all he heard was thumbs up, good to go, and then he
All the
went.
more reason to
Yeah.
revisit them.
Right, okay.
So is that what we're doing?
Yeah,
I think that's the plan.
speaking of the recording process, Hannah, did you check to see if the order was actually recorded? Because I'm pretty sure that's in our general conditions too, that it must be
Yeah, they
recorded prior to any
definitely are
site work.
supposed to. I believe that they did. I can look in the file and make sure, but I
Yeah.
believe it was recorded.
Because they have to record it before they can do any work.
What was the applicant's or the property owner's name? Do you remember?
James something. I can't remember his last name.
What's the address?
175 North Street.
Duh.
Oh, yeah, I have it right here. The registry of deeds. They did record it. It was stamped.
Okay.
January 9th.
January. Woof.
Oh my god, you're so fast. Beat
I'm
me.
sure, pretty sure they did this tree work in January. That's fresh cut stuff. So they had it recorded for quite a while before they actually did the cutting. Okay, so the question is, timing wise, we need to look at the order of conditions. I think all the commission members should have a copy of that sent back to them if they, so we don't have to search for it. Anything else information wise you all think we should have before we do a sidewalk?
I think you
in
should,
hand?
I think you
Site
should have.
plan?
I think you
Site
should
plan.
have, I think you should have
If there is
the
one.
approved. Limit of work staked.
Right, which means we have to get the property owner to do that.
Yes.
Yeah. Which means we have to contact.
Would
Staked by
that be
survey.
our
Staked by
jurisdiction or is that
survey.
planning? Is that planning's jurisdiction to require that or?
No, that's
I don't
us.
think did this go to planning or was this already a lot that was approved?
Yeah, I don't think this went to planning. This would be us. I don't think in here. I mean, I can edit the boilerplate, but the boilerplate didn't have that it needed to be by a surveyor, that the stakes needed to go in by a surveyor. And it's not in our condition for this project, at least.
But he's in violation now, so we can
Right, so
pretty
now
much
you
demand
can-
whatever we want,
Right, yeah,
So
or we can put a stop work
for
on
an
it. Or
enforcement.
we can put a stop work on it
Right,
forever.
So does Hannah call him and say, this is what we want, or do we call him and say, you need to come before the commission again?
Well, I think if we wanted him to come before the commission again, we need to do something more like have an enforcement order or be.
Yeah.
Ready to, we're ready to give you an enforcement order if you don't come to us and be willing to talk to us.
Hannah can try the nice, bring the carrot.
Then we have valid concerns based on a site walk that we did on
Stick
whatever
with
date that was, that you were there and we walked down with,
In the cat?
Lou, because that's why we came up there, was right up the street. So whatever date that was, that we walked the site, based on a site walk that we did and some comments and some observations we made of the site and what had been done on the site and our concerns were expressed some at that time. We have additional concerns and we need to take additional action, which involves you coming in.
I suspect she's gonna get some pushback,
Oh,
not only because he's busy,
Yeah.
but I think he was done with it for a while.
Oh, yeah, he made that pretty clear. I'm not gonna hurry to build this
I
lot.
was
I'm
gonna
not
ask
gonna-
what's going on, cause he didn't get testy, but he got guarded.
In the beginning, he was very, very defensive.
James and Don, would you guys agree with that statement?
Yeah, he had some attitude in the beginning, for sure.
I think he was misunderstanding what we were out there for. And I
Right.
also think he was misunderstanding the permit he obtained.
I don't think he read, a lot of what, he wasn't familiar with it at all.
So we
I'm
can take
guessing what
the,
happened is he had his wetland scientist out there flagging, helping him get the permit, and then he was like, all right, here you go, bye.
they didn't have wetland scientists in the application.
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
Bill on this one.
Was Bill Helsing doing it?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
When we walked it the first time, the flags were clearly there. James and I were finding them, and I think you as well, against the drawing.
That was back like January, they got.
That was probably my first site visit.
So it's been surveyed because land planning had to survey the
Yep.
flags and they did the topo and they did all that, so they know where it is. They've got controls out there, they can go find and put stakes along the limit of work, along the,
I think
along the roadway.
Given our,
Because otherwise we don't understand where the impacts are.
right, I think given that this it was a long time ago, relatively speaking, months and months ago, as opposed to weeks. B, Bill Helsing is involved and he's been here many, many times over the years with us. And see whether he's still liable, responsible, feels involved, wants to help, whatever the tie-in is that we can make. I think he should be pulled back into this as well and notified that if things were surveyed and things were laid out originally as part of the process, which I think he should be shepherding through to the point where the driveway is done, that he helped get the permit for it, or not.
For his own protection, that another more serious mistake doesn't happen
Right,
down the road.
right, but that, this client of yours has done some stuff that's not right. At least part of the work that you provided for us as part of the original application for this permit, which we approved and conditioned, and that was not followed, hasn't been done. We may need some assistance in the resurveying staking part, because I don't think there were a lot of flags visible from us, so it was like wide open. You saw the pictures. Anyway, so we may need to recruit Bill. I'm not saying we will, but I think in this case, knowing what Bill was involved in this, it makes me feel that we reach out. I don't expect him to say, oh, I didn't coach the guy, I'm not responsible, or I don't know what Bill would say, but.
I think he'd be somewhat still involved because in order to get this closed out, he's gonna have to submit an as-built, whether he's the engineer of record that's doing that or if the applicant goes to a different engineer, that's one question. That's an odd way to do it, but I wouldn't think Bill is completely disconnected from the project.
So do we want to get them back in for an informational discussion / we'll drop the hammer if they don't seem to be responsive and want to do that, and then we would follow that up with the site visit once we've delineated what our concerns are, overcutting, overextension of the driveway limits, no lack of erosion control, other things that we've mentioned here, or additionally see when we look at the order of conditions and what we think between the pictures and people saw on site has happened.
I think asking him, it's my opinion to have him come back in is more complete and relieves Hannah of some of the pressure of pushback. There won't be any back and forth. He'll understand clearly, and it gives all the members an opportunity
I think if he
So,
was guarded during your first meeting, he's probably not gonna want to come back. And I think
Oh.
that it would make more sense to go out there with documentation and be able to take written notes of what exactly he violated, assuming that he did violate stuff, which obviously it sounds like he did, but since you
That's
guys
what
didn't
needs to
have
be
the
confirmed.
information out there with you, we can't be
He also
100% sure.
he also might generally and
Oh.
genuinely be confused about what his limit was because he did the site work himself. But I think being on site with the site plan in hand, showing him, hey, you went 20 feet past where you should have gone here for a length of like 300 feet. That's a pretty big difference than what was represented and approved in these plans. And like I think when we explained to him the tree issue, he got it and he understood towards the end. So I think meeting him halfway and being on site with him with all the conditions of the site plan,
But we
although it
have to
might be
tell him,
tedious.
we have to communicate with him ahead of time so that he can have it staked.
Right, or restaked if it hasn't. If it's
Well,
still staked, that's fine, but I don't.
You guys didn't
How's he
see any
gonna stake a
stakes.
driveway that
You guys
he
didn't see any stakes.
went over?
I didn't see any in the
You mean,
photographs.
Neil, when you say staked, you mean what was approved, not, because there's stakes, there's a limit of disturbance out there right now, but it's not what we believe is what was approved. Are you saying you want the stakes of
I want the
what was
stakes, I
represented
want
on
to
the
stake what
plan?
was approved on the plan.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay. So we can see
So-
the difference in the field. Yeah, no, I
Right.
agree.
Otherwise, we're all just guessing as to where everything is and what the extent of what the extent of the work has been.
And that's the motivation for bringing him in to explain that.
right, or we could just communicate that, say, we want to re-inspect the site, we could, I have enough concerns, you heard us, our concerns over there. Between photos and what was done. We want you to restake the driveway if it's not still staked, and you need to get Bill Housing back in there to restake it if, you know, his cost and his deal. Because we think that that's been exceeded by a substantial amount, not just a little bit, but a substantial amount. Once it's been restaked, we'd like to do a site visit and go over this with you. Try to keep it on a, you know, we're gonna go over this with you and explain whatever it may degenerate into something more contentious when you get on site, and you may get very defensive, but. Yeah, I think having him on site where we can all see it. As opposed to
But
having.
that's down the road. How do we approach him first? Does Hannah feel comfortable just talking to him?
Yeah.
And having, and expressing what we want, and then we'll go back out for a site visit, or do we drag him in here first? And then do all that, and then go out and have the site visit, and then drag him back in again?
This
I
is
don't
the
think we should
goal.
drag him in because I feel like it's like harassment almost. Like,
Oh,
hey
that's
man, I
right.
know that it sounded like we were good when we left, but we're actually gonna make you come back
Yeah,
in
he
again.
may, I had that thought, I thought James was gonna say that, as we walked away, shaking hands, okay, see you, good luck with your asphalt grinding, busy season and all. I think he may have had the feeling, as long as I don't go do anything else, I'm good with these guys, they're okay with me, because they were smiling at me as we walked away, we weren't throwing wood chips at each other.
Yeah,
But
so
in
I think we
fact,
should just send an email that's like,
that may have
hey
been
man,
just-
we want to do another site visit soon. Can you stake this out according to the plan? Thanks.
And I can support that, but this is the guy that wanted to competitively price the peer review or something. When he came in.
That, I don't think that.
Did we do a
Um,
peer
we
review?
didn't
No,
have a
we
peer
did.
No, I
review.
don't think we did. We
When he-
didn't do a peer review. I don't believe.
I
When
thought
he
we
was
did a peer
first
review for
before
this
the
one.
board.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing a peer review.
I think
It's so long-
I
that's
think
what
I
I'm
know
saying,
what
so
you're
long ago,
thinking
December,
of, Steve,
November,
and I think that
whenever-
was one we ended up denying
No,
because he
I think
wouldn't
it's
pay
a
for peer review.
Didn't BSC peer review? I mean,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure BSC peer reviewed.
Oh.
They really just, it was one that I had argued would be minimum. It was really just wetland line matching. That's really all it was.
Yep, there's peer review from BSC.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted.
No,
to
Steve's right.
granted.
I remember it now that Steve mentioned it. So he was concerned with the cost. So then we had ended up talking BSC down to just doing wetland matching, confirming the wetland line. Because that was the biggest concern, was confirming the wetlands on site.
Alright. Okay, so is it the commission's desire to have Hannah reach out initially, as she seems to be comfortable doing so, reaching out to James, whatever his last name is, and saying, we have some concerns and some issues? And then do we want him to come in to explain what those two issues are and then schedule a site visit when he has a chance to wait, and please, for a second, until he has a chance to flag and properly delineate the approved driveway limits, so we can all see on a site visit, as opposed to wandering out there without them staked, because that's useless to do. I wouldn't even want to go out there, see a non-staked as it should have been driveway. So to point out to the property owner as well as to be clear ourselves on how far beyond the boundaries that he went. I think we need to have that staked. We could do that in an explanation in the meeting. We could do that with an email ahead of time saying this is something we need to have done prior to.
A
this making
brief
site visit.
email. Don't even
Say
need
what?
to say there's any concerns. Just say, hey, we're gonna be out there again. Please stake it. Thanks.
Oh, I think you need to say that.
No, we need to give him some explanation.
I think he would,
Some
he
explanation.
Yeah,
may
I agree with
flat out
that.
refuse to see us based on our last conversation if he thinks there's no problems and we suddenly need to tie him up. I mean, it's pretty clear he was happy to be done with us. So I think saying, at least that we have issues from what we've seen, without going into detail on them. We don't have to delineate them now.
Well,
I did also let him know that he may need to put in some plantings.
Well, yeah, potentially. There's plenty of room now. Unlike some areas where planting a tree in the middle of the forest do they cut down the wrong ones isn't the case here. It's wide open.
here's a suggestion along those lines. If we scale 20 feet off the drawings between erosion control and erosion control and measure 45, does that need to be staked?
Yes,
The 45 or the 20?
because you don't know where the 20 is supposed to be within.
But
that
you're right,
form.
it could be on one side. My thought was then that gives us credence to ask him to stake it after that.
No, we don't need credence. It needs to be staked because we need to inspect it because we
It
think
should have been
there's,
staked.
we
before.
think there's a problem.
And there was no inspection done, and they didn't ask Hannah to come out and check that out,
I agree.
which could have confirmed, yeah, the driveway looks reasonable, you know, whatever.
And I'm not sure if this would be, because if they do have to do restoration work for the expanded driveway to like some plantings, that would have to be done as part of like an enforcement order tied to their NOI anyways.
Or an amendment.
Or an amendment, yeah, if he wants to expand it, I guess, yeah, so I'm not sure if it would be easier to just write up an enforcement order after I get some measurements and go out and explain to him what the situation is, and as part of the enforcement order, say it needs to be staked out.
I
Or
think
we
with
could
an, I
kind
think
of
with an
just-
ongoing project, I think we could get away with an amendment
Okay.
to define if we determine any restoration is needed or whatever, then we could just do an amendment. They could give us a new plan showing us the plantings, and that way it would all be part of the same plan. And it wouldn't sprawl into this other thing that we have to deal with
I
separately.
don't know. I kind of
would-
think that an enforcement order might be, because if we're treating everybody in every situation the same, if someone was just doing this on their property without an ongoing project, that's how we would approach it.
But he does have an ongoing project, that's the difference.
Yeah, but
We
I don't know.
We don't issue enforcement orders on people with ongoing projects, we modify.
We're trying to get them to fix it if they've asked for permission ahead of time as opposed to
Yeah.
the enforcement order for that we just did recently for somebody who didn't ask anything and was doing stuff and it stopped.
The difference is he's working under a permit.
Wrongly.
Have we issued a cease and desist?
Perhaps
Or have we
incorrect.
just
We just.
had
voted.
informal conversation?
That's the other thing, it's all informal conversation. It wasn't
Yeah.
a meeting, it wasn't a hearing. It was just a informal review. On
I
site.
would say part of Hannah's conversation needs to be that there's a cease and work on the site. I thought we made that clear last time, but maybe
I think it
not.
was clear on no more tree cutting, whether he would go up there and do grading or anything else, even though he said he wasn't planning on building the house for a while, maybe years. I don't know. Yeah, that certainly doesn't hurt to reinforce.
I
No.
can kind of like work that into, I can do like a cease and desist letter that requests that the area be staked out. And then go from there. if
And
that-
let him notify us when it is, so we can conduct a site walk where we'll review the site. I don't want to, I don't want to go into all the
The
potential
work that's
violations.
been performed.
Yeah,
thus
exactly,
far.
yeah, the work that's been from this far. Compared to the work order, compared to the order of conditions, and that, just leave it there, that we don't have to say what the potential violations are, how too far you did this, that. We'll see that when we go out there, but then, yeah, see what the response is, that we just ignores us and doesn't respond at all, then we'll have to deal with it that way, a different way. He's amenable, but busy, I can't schedule right now, as long as he's willing to continue to try to work with us, like some of these other applicants, the Baptist Church and others, you know, as long as he's willing to work with us, we'll try to.
I have a question unrelated to this project. What is on the ground next to you, Hannah? Is that a tiny chair?
This,
No, next to it. Is that a chair with no legs?
this? I don't know what you're talking about.
No,
The
you're looking
gray
at-
thing.
There's a chair next to that bag.
Does it have no legs?
It has
The
legs.
ch-
I can
the
see
chair at the
legs.
table.
There's a
I
chair
don't
at the
see any
front.
legs on it on my camera.
Ariane,
There's a chair at the
are you
dinner
okay?
table, and you're
It has
sitting
like a
in it.
skirt on my camera. It does not
Hmm.
look like it has legs.
That chair.
Oh
I
my
see her
God.
moving it.
I see
Hmm.
it now.
Okay,
Okay.
now you can see the legs. Okay, thank you. Oh, that was.
But if I
All right,
could,
can we move on to
Let's go
if I
ahead
could just
and move on
clarify
here?
something,
Well,
if
go
I
ahead,
could
Don,
clarify
hurry up.
something.
No,
Thanks. Just with what Mike had said in this, in your letter, Hannah, we want to make it clear that he's to stake it out according to the original plan. You know, we talked about that, but I just want to make sure that's really emphasized.
Excuse me.
All right, and he can figure out whether he needs to get a whole bill of housing for that or not.
Right.
You know, that's up to him. I'm not telling that. Okay. Hannah, you good? with this? Okay, all right, minutes. Anybody have any comments about the 326 or the 49 minutes?
There was one, and I mentioned it to Hannah, it's
Okay.
Don Martinez, not D Martino.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good catch.
Which minutes was that? Do you remember the April?
The March one.
Mark, okay. So we have one amendment, minor name correction. Anything else anybody else spotted? I didn't say anything jumped out at me. Okay. I will accept the motion to accept the minutes of 326-25 and 49-25 as amended with the minor correction made by Steve.
So moved.
Steve's second.
Seconded.
Thank you, Pam. Any other discussion? All in favor, roll call vote. James,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
Ariane,
Hi.
Pam,
Aye.
Neil.
All right, but I'm going to abstain on the 4-9.
Okay. So noted. Abstaining on 49 and Steve.
Aye.
And my guy. Okay, thank you. That takes care of the minutes. The last item on the agenda is Roger Bellinger Conservation Land.
Yeah, so
Did
this
we
is just
skip
like
tree
a,
policy? Or are we covering that later?
yeah, we still have not gotten any feedback back from town council. So.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Tabled.
Tabled. But the Roger Belanger Conservation Land, that was one that Don's actually done a, you did one of your like site write-ups. And I was potentially thinking that we could maybe do another site visit out there. I was getting some complaints from a neighbor that there's been, you know, some trash built up in there and.
Which one is this?
Yeah. which
It's right on Beaver Pond. I
Uh.
thought I put something in there, but I guess I forgot to put it on.
Okay.
At the end of Roger Belanger, it's right on Beaver Pond and it's like a nice parcel that's in there. And Don's done surveying there, so. I was Thinking about.
Yeah, it's a
putting
beautiful piece of land. There's, and I think on the map that I provided, I marked, at least at the time, what were the spots that, and the type of, trash and things that were found there.
Yeah, and like the kayak was still there that you
Yep.
had you had noted in there, so, it was just a comment from, you know, one of the neighbors,
Does it look like neighbors dumping over the back fence kind of stuff, or does it look like somebody driving in there dumping trash?
So part of it, if I remember the piece, I didn't review the notes. Some of the stuff had been there for a long time. If I recall, there were, you know, refrigerator remnants or oven remnants that were either on that part of the property or on an adjacent one. There was a canoe chained to a tree. There wasn't a lot of trash along the trail at the time. It was so much of what I found, as I recall, was pretty old stuff. So it'd be interesting to go back and look and see if something new has been deposited, and that's what's prompting the complaints. As well as that, you know, canoe still being, or kayak, I should say, still being chained there.
that was kind of all on that, and it's just, you know, a little update. It's nice, and if anybody else wants to walk out there, it's really nice
It
area.
would be nice to start to explore the DPW since we seem to have a pretty good relationship with them. What resources they could offer us if we can get the volunteers to haul stuff to the nearest out of conservation land, but haul it to the nearest edge of road and then have DPW come by with a dump truck or something like that and potentially help or actually pick it up, especially if it's heavy stuff. But I'm not that people are gonna kill themselves hauling an engine out block or something out of the woods, but smaller, lighter stuff, if we can get volunteer groups to come in for a selected spot like this, I think would be great, because, I mean, the effort to haul it in, maybe somebody won't do that the next time, maybe they will. There's no property owners right around there. It wasn't like fence, like Neil's asking, right, Don?
No, it's open access, but it does border people's backyards.
Yeah, whether it came from somebody's backyard or somebody hauled it in,
Yeah.
people will haul stuff as we know.
We've seen that on other properties where people walk to the back of the line and throw it over.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna set
But the
up a-
DPW has been, Mike, to your point, I've done quite a bit of that. I've hauled things out and put it by the side of the road and gave them a call. I've dragged tires out of some conservation land in the past. This was before I was on the board. And I would call the DPW and they would come and pick up without any hesitation. They've been super collaborative when it
Then
came
your
to cleanups like
retirement
that.
years, get all the tires.
And we have Earth Day coming up this weekend. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a sign up sheet out there for if there's people that are interested in like future cleanup events, if we do cleanup events of.
It
town
doesn't always just on
parcels,
Earth Day,
so-
or well, yesterday was Earth Day.
And that's actually a beautiful piece of property, over by that Beaver Dam or Beaver Lake.
It might be a selling point, come out and see some of the,
Yeah.
natural resources in Bellingham, your own town, and by the way, you can help clean up a little bit of it while you're there, that's great, you
Yep.
carry out something that you didn't carry in.
That's a great pond, right, Ariane?
Supposedly, yeah.
Supposedly.
Official size wise, you mean?
I kind of
It's
feel
a-
like
it's
it
a-
might be
it's a
Beaver
special
Pond in
It's a special
Franklin.
designation that,
Right, great pond.
they have to meet certain criteria, and that I believe is a great pond.
10 acres,
Oh.
their natural
Not just
state.
great.
I thought it was pretty
great,
Yeah,
good.
but
I thought you were
great.
just saying it's a great
I
pond.
know.
It's a wonderful, great pond, okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's good, thanks for checking that out, Don, and letting us know, and yeah, we'll have to follow up on that and see if we can both get that cleaned up potentially and or future. Okay, anything else on the items or agendas or information anybody else needs to relay to us, Hannah, anything else?
I'm just gonna, because we only have 3 of us here, I'm gonna send out the signature thing online.
Okay, so watch for dot loop, that's your goal, you 4 people offline or online to sign that, please.
I have two little things.
Neil has 2 little things.
The Baptist church has a excavator in the parking lot. Looks like they've been doing some work.
Hannah's gonna see
Yeah.
them tomorrow.
Yep.
Hannah's seeing
Well-
them tomorrow, as she mentioned, so that's good.
And then it's a big excavator.
The
And
excavator was allowed, right?
Yeah.
Coming off
Yeah.
of the pavement, yeah.
As long as they
Yeah, the
careful
little
when
one,
they're
we asked
watching
them
it.
to.
it's got a good reach on it, so they can get in there without driving in. Rosewood,
Look at that.
I drove by there. It looks like they've pushed the parking into that gravel area that they created where I wasn't at the end of what we finally agreed on, where they put in the retaining wall.
Yeah.
I thought they were just gonna slope it down, but there's that retaining wall, and it looks almost like there's more, I caught it quick as I went by on the way here. It looks like there's more parking.
To the right side, Brad. where
Yeah,
the
yeah,
area fence-
where the
Yeah,
fence-
I asked them if they were
like-
gonna be parking on that area, and I think they'll be parking on part of it, but not all of it. Because
They pushed that,
because the stone was not there, it was eroding down the hill, and it was like, we have more
right,
stone
they,
here. and-
they leveled it.
I
Squared
actually
off
did
with-
go out there today, the health agent went out there and he let me know that there was some
Right.
stuff going on. So I didn't have enough, because it was like this afternoon, right before I left, I didn't have time to like write it up and get something together for you guys. Cause it seems like it's stabilized and they're not really doing any work back there right now, and I told them not to be parking in there. But that was something that
Yeah,
you were.
that was
you
not
were
approved, we
correct.
did not
It was
approve that for expansion for
Right.
parking,
So
that was wildlife control.
Right, we need to look at that, and see what they did. We also need to verify that they put the pad underneath the grease reservoir container, because if it leaks, that's gonna flow down the ground into the resource area, and so we said put a lipped concrete, we didn't specify details, but ideally it should be enough to hold at least a partial leak, if not the
And
whole tank.
I did ask the health agent about that, cause he was questioning if I had anything, and he said they moved it, because before it was behind the fence towards the wetland, correct? And I think they moved it to the other side of the fence, but he didn't have an answer for me if there was a spill pad under
It
it.
was supposed to
So
be.
that's something
it's
we're
got-
gonna.
I think they moved the fence.
Yeah, they may have moved that, yeah,
Are they still having an animal issue?
we don't know.
Um,
If they have anything other than fish on the dinner, you might make sure it doesn't have a long tail. Menu.
If you wanna, drive by there, I'll put some pictures in.
All right, so we should follow up on that and check on that. That's a good observation. Thanks, Neil. Yeah, and if they're in violation of whatever the original order was by either expanding parking, moving fences where they shouldn't have, or not
This
putting
is-
that pad
There's no,
underneath.
like, no disturb zones, like.
We didn't.
In
authorize-
historic aerials, the parking looks the same to me, but the most recent ones is 2023.
Oh, yeah, that's not gonna do it. Yeah, this was in the last 6 months, they did whatever they did,
Less than that.
less than a couple months. Yep, time to go to an ice cream cone, I guess. All right.
The D&D had the mulch fire. That was pretty bad, apparently.
Yeah, could see
I
that,
was-
could see that from the house.
Steve, I had no idea.
Yeah, big mulch fire. I wonder if that's gonna have any effect on how the town approaches the other mulch piles.
So when did this happen? Yesterday?
Sunday,
Sunday.
Saturday, Sunday.
They must have had dozens by now.
What? Of fires?
Fires. Yeah.
Why? Why
No.
dozens?
Why doesn't?
Well, I've seen a couple in the release portal for them.
For D and D?
SCP searchable sites.
Oh. Yeah. No, I wasn't aware of that. I questioned why they had.
It was a very large multi-town call from what I read in the paper.
Yeah, I was driving to Blackstone. I saw Franklin trucks. It's quite a lot of
Yeah,
stuff going on.
I think even Hopkinton came down to help.
Yep.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Could it
listed.
be because their emergency access route around the mulch piles wasn't available?
That different mulch pile area.
No,
Yeah.
Oh,
Same street, different.
This is the
mulch
one
pile.
off of 495. Like
There's one at
adjacent to
Easter
it.
but
time.
that's
had
what
a
I was
big-
thinking of.
At Easter time, a huge pile, if you're on 495 driving by D and D and looking off to that side, a pink mulch. I went in and got some regular topsoil the other day. I happened to see that pile and I asked the owners about that. They're like, it's just a decoration to get people's attention from the highway. I said, does anybody buy pink mulch? He said, actually, some people have been doing that, including some company whose colors are pink and blue or whatever. And so he said, I would never do it, but we don't color it especially for customers. But anyway, so ironically, they have fire.
Is this the one that shares the driveway with?
It's
Jay
the
Brown
dog,
Day.
the dog.
Yes.
Bow Wow,
Okay.
yep.
Across from where that
Across from
that
Zero
commercial-
Maple.
that Zero Maple.
Which
where
has
they-
now had big clip. I didn't realize so many trees were gonna be taken down in front of that place.
Yeah, I
Everyone
said
found
that
out the-
today. I said
I
that
did
today.
not- I thought that they were just gonna have a
dropped the dog
driveway in
off
there,
at camp.
but they cut.
No, the
everything
way
to
that
the
was
line.
described, the way it was described at the planning board, the last time I heard them present.
You go to.
That was, okay. I mean, they may have, I assumed they had permission to take. a
Yeah,
little
it was
trip down.
line
They
of
were-
sight issues. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, I didn't, all right. All right, anything else on the agenda? Anything else, FA? Okay, I will let you all out of here by 8:25. Hey, thank you very much. I will accept motion to close the meeting and adjourn.
So moved.
Steve and Neil, thank you
Seconded.
very much. And all in favor, James,
Aye.
Don,
Aye,
Ariane. Ariane,
Ariane?
wake up.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said Pam. Hi.
Pam.
Hi.
All right, Neil, Steve.
Mhm.
Aye, aye. Okay, thank you very much. Hands were-
Mary Ann.
Thank you very much.
Mary Ann.